What's up, YouTube? Mike here again. Want to thank all the new subscribers, all the people leaving comments. Thank you guys. Appreciate the love and support. Today I wanted to just, let you guys know what's going on this week. It's a little, I guess I'm in my slow period right now. You guys know running is always going to be, it's not always going to be, fast and jobs coming in. Sometimes you got your days where you're doing 2-3 calls a day and stuff like that. It happens. I mean, even though I was working for a company, it happens. There's been some times I had to be at the shop and just, finish up the rest of my day sometimes. So yeah, expect slow periods sometimes. That's why you gotta make sure you put money up to get through those slow periods. All a part of money management. But as of now, if you guys are owning your business, and you should have some type of management when it comes to parts. If you have an account with your a parts distributor, managing that, making sure. I'm saying that to say I just left Marcone. That's where I get a lot of my parts. Well, let's just say in my area, it's another local place, but they're not nationwide. It's just how you have certain parts distributors in certain areas, and I tend to get better pricing from online in Marcone than them, so I kind of just go to Marcone. But I'll go there, and I have, like I said, I've been going there for over 10 years, so the people that know me have known me as long as they've worked there, because it's been different streams of people working there. But pretty much, so they know me fairly well. I've never, since I've had an account on my own with them, had a problem. So we kind of just, the manager comes in there to, and asks me, hey, how's everything going? I'm like, great, man. He's like, I never have to ask you about your account or anything. I'm like, so I asked him, like, really? I'm like, do you have, it's like, man, all the newer guys with the newer accounts, I constantly have to call them, make sure they pay their account, so you want to make sure that you monitor all those things properly. And it's good for your business. That's the main thing. You want to make sure. What I do is I just make sure I pay things that are, the 30 days coming up. I don't let things go into the 60 days or the 90 days. I just pay 30 days and just pay it off like that. As the checks come in, I pay off certain jobs, to make sure I keep up with it. But I don't just pay it all off. I have a balance with it now, but I made sure I'm nowhere close to my credit limit. Other than that, I wanted to touch on, I had uploaded this job I did. Did I do it today? Yeah, I did it today. And, well, I did it actually yesterday, but I uploaded the pictures this morning of GE stove. And the reason, it's a simple repair, it just needed 2 burners. But the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I was the second person there to come. So when I asked it was through a warranty company. So when I asked the customer, well, with the other guy, so they brought out the part that they had there was a switch. So I'm like, I'm diagnosing the problem. The problem is that the front 2, one is a triple and one is a dual burner. It's just, what is it? The outer, the inner wasn't working, just the outer on both of them. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, this can't be a switch, but let me just test everything. So I took everything apart, well, not everything, but just the glass top, and just test before I even ordered any parts. And one of the large triple burner, 2 of the terminals are broken off, so that's that issue. And I tested the front left burner, the dual one, and that just wasn't getting. And see, when it comes to checking certain elements, I'm gonna say this because I want to say to you guys, if you don't have, it's a constant schooling. We have to school ourselves. So what I'll do sometimes is I will test the new part compared to the old part to see what readings I'm getting. You gotta you can't just say, okay, the part, I didn't physically see any burnt spots on the actual burner itself. So, okay, let me just test it to make sure. And some of those elements, they only engage when it's sending power, or a certain, something has to be engaged for something else to engage, pretty much what I'm trying to say. So if I was checking the new burner with the old burner, which I did when I went back as well, I was getting a lot of the same readings, but I know from experience that this has happened to me before. I'll test the new one, test the old one, and get some of the same readings, but you'll change the part and still it'll be working because of the control in there. Basically, it's not, the contacts are not contacting, but you won't see any burnt spots on the actual burner. I can get more technical, but I'm not trying to, so I'm just trying to get to the point where main thing I was taught was to always take things apart, especially going behind people, because either the guy didn't take anything apart and just, okay, switch is not, and usually when it's a switch issue, it's either not regulating the temperature properly, staying on a certain, or high, or not coming on at all. Those are the type of things I'll see with a switch. Not that, I mean, it's possible that it won't send power to the inner or outer element, but, you know, rarely do I see that. I always see that being a burner issue. So don't be that guy. And he was actually working with GE. So, and I know those techs that work for major companies, I'm not going to say there are any good ones. There's probably a lot of good ones, but I tend to get a lot of bad reviews, I want to say, on bigger companies. That's just what it is sometimes. I don't know. The smaller guys like us, I still get some complaints, especially through home warranty companies. I don't know what it is with home warranty companies and certain guys doing their work. I understand how the warranty game goes. Trust me. If you've been in it deep, you know how the warranty goes. But I guess in my mind, I still want to do right by the customer, because outside of that warranty, either if it's Home Depot or if it's a home warranty that covers everything, if they don't want to deal with the warranty company, who do you think they're going to call? I mean, they're going to call the person who was nice to them, who actually fixed it. And, you know, that's why I say in my other videos, make sure you get your card out there. But mainly is that I go behind a lot of calls that I get bad, it's bad reviews, or they didn't want to come back, or just crazy stuff. I don't know, just stuff that you would think, being in business ethically, you would do. You know, if I have a customer that's, especially, I mean, it's different. If I have a COD customer, they have all priority for me to go back all the, whenever, especially within the 30 days. I'm going to go back. If it's 4, 5, 6 times, if I have to get it right, that's the point. Which it should never get to that point, to have 5, 6 calls. Another thing too is home warranty is a little different, because after 30 days, I think that's with anything, but sometimes it can be after 2 weeks. They want, you have to get a new call, new work order. Sometimes if you have to add parts, you have to, call that in. There's just different things you have to do. What I've been facing, I want to say within the past month, and what you guys will, I guess, run into sometimes, I try to do some pre-diagnosis stuff, like, so I'll say, hey, this is what's going on with it. I'll go pick up the part. I get there, it's not that. So that happens to maybe like 3, 4 times, where I'll think, once I'll get there, I'll fix it, or I'll get the proper part, but, just to try to get it right. Sometimes, majority of the time I do, but then you'll get these periods where, sometimes it doesn't work out like that. And you'll think it's, because me personally, I don't tend to go for the most expensive part anyway. I'll try to go for the cheaper part, pick it up, and then go see if that's, and usually that works out. I'm usually good with that, but sometimes you'll run into some crazy stuff, or stuff where you think it's this, but it's not that. And that's why if you watch a lot of other people's videos nowadays, there's you'll see like phrases or stuff or terms like repetition. A lot of jobs, these jobs is repetition, but too, you still want to, if you're new, you still want to school yourself on these things. I always, if I go to a, let's just say when I was first started, if I went to a dryer and, okay, I know the heating element's working, or let's just say a dryer that's not heating. You test it and you see the heating element's bad. All right, you know you need a heating element. What I did back then, I would test all the other sensors too to see what type of reading I would get, and that's why I said multimeter is essential. You need that, not for just dryers, but for everything. So that's probably one of the most important tools I use on a daily, other than my hand tools, you know. So, but what I think I want to say to everybody is what I always say is just you have to want to do it. And sometimes there's cases where I'll get to a house and I know that's what it is, and for sure, you know, just looking at him like, okay, blah blah, and usually that's what it is. And you'll get like that the more experience you get, the more years you know you're doing it. The only thing is with this newer, what I was getting to before was that with these newer appliances, you can't go into pattern recognition anymore like you used to, because you know it's less mechanical, it's more electronic. So you're always going to want to put things in diagnostic mode if you know you can, and usually you want to, just to see if there's any codes, or you don't want any callbacks and recalls. Try to minimize that as much as possible. I mean, sometimes it happens. You will not go through this industry without getting a callback. I'm telling you, it's to me it would be impossible. I mean, and I'm not talking about going there and having to get the part and go back. That's not what I mean. I'm just, you know, just a recall, something that failed, or there's been times where I missed something, or you know, like let's just say when I was doing a bearing job in the beginning on those Cabrios, Oasis, and Bravos, you know, I'm done the job, everything's working, and then I forgot to put the pressure hose back on the side. So I didn't check it. I just, you know, checked the spin cycle to make sure it didn't make any noise or, you know, anything like that. But next day, or later that day or the next day, because my floor has some water on it. I'm like, I forgot to put the pressure hose back in, because there's different ways to take apart and do that job. Me personally, since I've done it so many times and ran into so many issues, I usually just take the whole tub out and change it. It makes it easier for me. Some guys don't, especially if you're running. That's why I set up those jobs where I have time in the day to get those jobs done. You know, especially those type of issues are not, I want to say, life or death. You know, people can still use the washing machine. It just makes a loud noise. So I'm not gonna make this video too long. I'm trying to not go over things that I've already went over, but I guess for me personally, repetition is good. They'll get stuck in your head, and you'll know what to do, what not to do. And if you're on a job, if you're new, I'm not saying for the old guys, because the older guys, the veterans, the ones who've been doing it, not say longer than me, but let's just say you've had your business longer than me, you already know, you know, I don't want to say stuck in your ways, but you already know how it goes. Because me, I'm not stuck in, sometimes I'm stuck in my ways, but I know that I can learn anything from anyone at any given time. So I try to have an open mind, you know, just to see, because there's always I want to say, just like changing bellows on front load washers. Some people like to take the front panel off. Me personally, I don't. I can do it without it on most of them, even the LGs with the clips, you know. So some people like taking them off. I mean, there's no right or wrong way, because like I was saying about the bearing jobs, I posted up there and the guy was like, oh, I don't even take the tub out, blah blah. And I'm like, to each his own, you know. Just like how I see a guy that doesn't take the front panel off on the bellows, I don't take them off, and I'm done a lot quicker, you know. So I want to just clarify that for people. Sorry, I got stumped. Somebody sent me a text message, customer, that I need to send a part number to. And you'll get jobs like that where I have customers that I've been dealing with for so long. They'll call and ask me and say, hey Mike, I got this cooktop, it needs this part, or the right front burner's not working, it needs this part. And I'll look it up, I'll let them know. I won't do that for everybody. I only do it for customers who I know will call me when they need to call me. But I don't. If a customer has a question about certain things, then I'll usually answer the question some of the time. But you don't want to give too much detail, especially to the guys, or I don't want to say too much girls, but to the guys that feel like they can do it themselves. Certain calls, if it's like I had a customer the other day. Like I said, I've been to his house plenty of times. Met him through warranty, but I've done calls outside of warranty for him, and he had a Frigidaire Affinity dryer, and you know those latches with the strikes, the two. So I was gonna charge a service call or labor to go out there to put 2 screws in the latch in the door. You could have did that. You know, that's just certain things you gotta ethically feel. I mean, if he couldn't do it, then he couldn't do it. I would, you know, no problem. But he asked me, he said, I got the part in, and I said, you know what? You can put the, he's like, okay, I'll try it. And he put it in, it was only 2 screws in the door. I mean, come on. So, you want to, I do those things sometimes to help people because I feel like in the long run, it's going to come back to me. I'll get business, they'll tell somebody, you know, that's the main thing. I feel like word of mouth is great. Advertising is great too because, you know, at least when you advertise and you get that customer, then that customer can turn into a customer that's, you know, word of mouth. That's just how it goes. So that's pretty much it for today, guys. Like I said again, thank you for the subscriptions and the comments. A lot of times people ask me questions outside that I can probably put in a video. I'll just answer it in the comment section because, you know, I don't really take notes for these things as much. I might put 2 bullet points here and there, but I kind of just want to go off the top of my head and just do what comes naturally. I mean, I don't really have as much time to do the editing, and I just record on my phone and upload it. I don't even go back and see what I said sometimes. So that's pretty much, I mean, for you guys that don't have much time to do things like this or even take videos or take pictures to put on your Instagram, or I only try to do that because I first started it to, you know, build my business page, and then now I was doing it to keep record of all the things that I've worked on, and it's not that it's just memorize everything, but you're taking a picture and it's kind of like muscle memory. You know, you've seen them. Like, there's a lot of models that I feel like I've worked on and haven't worked on in a while, and I'll get back to it. And, you know, to me, I don't want to say it's something that you might have missed before that you didn't know before. You know, when you're doing this in this field, you'll get on machines and sometimes it'll be one you never saw before, but you get there, fix the problem, and next time you go on another one, you didn't even see where the parts were located on different mechanisms compared to other machine appliances. So, like for instance, a Frigidaire or a GE heating element is different from a Whirlpool heating. I mean, the locations are different. You might look at the dryer from the outside and it looks similar, but the locations are different. Some models have roller wheels, some don't. It's all, you know. Main thing I want to stress is, I guess the key thing to appliance repair is to know how a machine works. Once you know how it works, then you have to try to implement the newer technology into that now. Not just, you know, how the older ones work with the mechanisms and the timers, and now you have to know how the control boards work and what sends power to what pins you need to read to do what. And I feel like learning wiring diagrams is key. It's just adding another, you know, weapon to your arsenal, but an important one. You know, you need that because there's been, like I said in other videos, there's been times where I got to a job and it's burnt up. The wires are just there, and I don't know what goes to where, and I had to follow the wiring diagrams. And it's easy sometimes too when you're looking at the wiring diagram and you're looking at a switch, because a lot of switches, most of them are labeled with what the connectors are, you know, so you can figure that out. It's kind of, I don't want to say common sense, because, you know, your commons might be different from my common, but I want to say just a general sense of working with your hands and being what's the word I'm looking for? Just tech savvy, tool savvy. You know what I mean. But anyway, guys, thanks for always watching again, and I'm about to get to my next job. Thanks.